A pleasant morning to everyone, and welcome to the grades 5 and 6 Parents Orientation for school year 2021 to 2022. I am Luis Palea, a grade 5 language teacher, and I will be the moderator for today. To begin this orientation, please watch this video.
Good day to all of you. Aren't you glad that at Xavier School we're still able to go back to our June to March school year? We've had a very hot summer, but thankfully we were able to end our classes last March and have a real summer break. Now we are just a few days away from school opening for school year 2021 to 2022. This year, as you know, we are observing so many anniversaries. First of all, the entire country is marking 500 years since 1521, the arrival of Christianity in the Philippines with the celebration of that first Mass in the Visayas. So it is an opportunity for us to reflect on the legacy of Spain in our country, including the legacy of our Christian faith, and how we might share that with others. And that is why the theme that we are given in the church is Gifted to Give, a very important milestone for our country. At the same time, there are other anniversaries that we are marking. Our own Xavier School is marking 65 years. We were founded in 1956 in Quiapo, in Echage. We stayed there a few years and then we moved to San Juan in 1960, actually the Christmas of 1959, and we have been here ever since. Our campus in New Valley opened in 2012, and this is now year 10 of operations at Xavier School, New Valley. So again, a time for thanksgiving for all the blessings we have received in the past and an occasion to reflect on what we might contribute to the wider community as we mark these anniversaries. And if you think that's it, there's more coming. This year is also an Ignatian year. For the Worldwide Society of Jesus, 2021 is very important because it is also the 500th anniversary of the Cannonball Movement in the life of our founder, Saint Ignatius Loyola. Isn't it interesting that the same year, 1521, when Christianity first made its appearance in the Philippines, is also the year when Saint Ignatius was injured very violently by that cannonball, and it led to his conversion. So, the Worldwide Society of Jesus is marking this big anniversary through reflection on the conversion experience of Saint Ignatius. So for this Ignatian year, there has been a logo developed for the Worldwide Society of Jesus. It's simple, it's the name of Ignatius, but with the S stylized to show 500 years. And in the Chinese province of the Jesuits, they have a variation of this, adding the words 纪念以纳节. 以纳节 is Ignatius, transliterated. 皈依500周年, 皈依 meaning conversion, or to take refuge, 500 years. The moment being marked in this big Ignatian anniversary is the cannonball moment in the life of St. Ignatius. If you look at this picture, you might get an idea of how painful it was for a cannonball to strike his bare leg. And then because he was still very vain, how many times it had to be operated on without anesthesia. Because he wanted it to be perfect. He didn't want to be limping for the rest of his life. But that was because the conversion had not yet fully taken place. He retired to his home, the Castle of Loyola, and he convalesced there for about 9 months. Nothing to do in his room but heal. And there was nothing else to read but the life of Christ and the lives of the saints. And that is when it starts to happen. From being a military soldier, he wanted now to become a soldier for Christ. If St. Francis could do it, if St. Dominic could do it, he could do it too. So that's when the conversion happens. In a way, it begins with a life-changing moment, the cannonball, but it shifts to his eternal life after that. And then he devotes himself to following Jesus Christ. So he was able to see his life and the whole world in a new light, in a different way. And that is why the theme of this Ignatian year is to see all things new in Christ. We are living in the time of the pandemic, and we are being invited to see everything in a new light. Not only our own experience of trying to survive, mourning those who have died, praying for those who are sick, but also beyond that, to see what is happening in the world and how our lives will change now and after the pandemic. Education will change now and in the future. Many things we have been used to will no longer come back. And that is why I find the theme very appropriate, to see all things new in Christ. We are invited to let go of all our biases, our past certainties, and just live in the present moment, embrace what is new, and move forward together. So this is the broad context we find ourselves in. And still, it's not done. There's one more major area that I need to tell you about, and that is the direction in the Philippine province of the Jesuits. Locally, the Jesuits have decided that for the next 3 years, we would like to focus on 5 priority areas, 5 thrusts in what we are calling a revised province plan. In a way, 5 loaves. It's like offering our 5 loaves to the Lord so that the Lord can work His miracles. So 5 areas of focus, of priority that we feel are very important for all of us to collaborate on. First of all, and I will go through this quickly, you see a slide of the 5 directions. First of all, to foster Jesuit integrity and accountability. It says Jesuit, but it's not only for us Jesuits. It's for all of us, Jesuits and our lay mission partners. In a world where there are so many leaders that do not inspire us, that sometimes even provide us with bad examples, we are invited to foster integrity, transparency, accountability in our mission. This is the foundation. So, throughout the year, even the next few years, we would like to focus on that in our formation programs for both the Jesuits and our lay partners. And that includes you. An invitation to examine our lives, whether we are being good examples for our youth, whether we are building a world that we can proudly leave to them when it is their time. Second, to feed the hungry, especially children, and to create sustainable livelihoods. As you can imagine, this is an offshoot of the pandemic. Many people are hungry. Maybe that's why there's also higher incidence of crime. Many people have lost their jobs, so there is no stable income. What can we do to help, to alleviate this situation? And we can all think of examples by which we can help in this direction. Third, to summon our youth to engage citizenship. The elections are coming next year. We want to make sure our young people, including our young alumni who are already eligible to vote, will go out and register and be aware of what's happening in our country so that we can make good choices when the elections come around next year. Fourth, to build faith-based hope and resiliency. It's easy to lose hope, to be in despair, given everything happening around us. And yet as Christians, we hold on to the graces of the resurrection, the victory won for us by Jesus Christ. And we want to nurture that hope and that spirit of resiliency, especially in our young people, so that we can prepare them for a better future. Finally, a theme that has been there for quite a while already, to cultivate personal and institutional ecological conversion. Many of our environmental practices were set aside during the pandemic because of the urgency, and we needed to do things quickly and conveniently, so we started using so much plastic again. And then now we're generating so much medical waste. No? And this cannot go on. We have to take care of our environment. We have to do what we can to limit our carbon emissions and combat climate change, etc. So in a nutshell, you have these 5 thrusts, 5 areas that the Philippine Jesuits would like to focus on this year and in the coming years. To give you a few examples of how we can already put this into practice, I can share with you things that are happening here at Xavier School. Do you know that we have our own community pantry? That is such a hopeful development. No? One young lady started it in Manginhawa Street. Now there are thousands of community pantries around the country. Our very own teachers started one here in school to serve our security and agency personnel, our janitors, to give them better food, better nutrition on a day-to-day basis. So we have a classroom on the ground floor of the junior high school building where we have been receiving donations for more than 1 month now. And we have even expanded to serving the staff of Mary the Queen Parish and ICA. They are also welcome to come and take what they need for the day. That's the community pantry, which you are very welcome to support. Another effort at helping to feed the hungry, to provide livelihood, is our partnership with Mayani. You may have heard of them. They work with the Department of Tourism to link buyers with farmers from the north who are producing so much fruits and vegetables but unable to get them to the right markets here in the NCR. So twice a month there is what they call the Grand Baksakan, when vegetables are available at very cheap prices. We have offered them the use of our EED gym, our Early Education Department gym. That is where all the vegetables land and where they do sorting and packing and then delivery to the pickup points elsewhere in the metropolis. So a good way to use our space that also contributes to the livelihood of so many Filipino farmers. That's Mayani. And these are examples of helping to feed the hungry and provide livelihoods. How do we foster hope and resiliency? Well, many of us have started already getting vaccinated, and Xavier School would like to support that effort, to get as many people vaccinated as soon as possible. And so our high school gym is being used by a third party, MedGrocer, so that the vaccines ordered by the private sector can be administered here. So those of you who belong to those groups, you just might be going to Xavier School to get your vaccines. Engage citizenship, one of the 5 thrusts. We are already gathering the senior high school units of the Jesuit schools around the country to talk about how we can raise awareness about the national situation and the importance of next year's elections. We will roll out a campaign to get our young alumni registered, even our young faculty, so that they can participate in the political process next year. And that is just one step. More importantly, we need to reflect together on the state of our nation and what we can all do to make things better. I know that we are politically divided. We all have our beliefs, our opinions, but we need to move beyond that, to respectfully listen to each other, dialogue with each other, understand each other. And in the end, even if we disagree and still make different political choices, we would have at least achieved a better understanding of each one, of where we are coming from, and what our priorities are in terms of governance and national development. Moving now to more specific things that will affect our life as a school this current school year. We are entering a second year of Excel 2.0. Of course, this means that we will improve on what we were doing last year. And you will hear more about that today as this orientation proceeds. But I can share with you some specific developments that might excite you. Even as we start the school year online, we are thinking about hybrid learning. Isn't it very good news that there are now vaccines for teenagers, for those age 12 and above. That means that perhaps within the school year, the government will allow in-person classes again. So since January, our teams in school have been trying to visualize that. What will it look like when students can return to school? We know that maybe they still have to wear their masks, observe distancing, observe all these protocols. So we're planning that very, very carefully. We cannot have everybody back all at the same time. Some will be in school, some will remain at home. I can assure you that in the first phase, you will have a choice. We will not force you to come to school, even if the government allows it, if you're not yet comfortable doing that. But we will endeavor to do it as soon as we can, as much as possible. And here, Xavier School New Valley has led the way. I can share with you that last school year, in January to March, Laguna was already on MGCQ. So that they had more possibilities. Those aged 15 and up were allowed to go up. So after securing the necessary permissions, we launched first a learning hub. We identified students who were having a very hard time staying at home, keeping up with Excel, with online classes. To make the long story short, where the home environment was not ideal, especially for many of our full scholars, the Zuluaga scholars in the high school. So we brought them to school. The high school canteen became their learning hub. It was still the same, it was still Excel, but they had more space. They could use the school's internet. So that went on for about 2 months or more. And we're very happy to be able to do that. In March, for the year-end activities of grade 10 and grade 12, the recollections, we were able to offer it in school. Something like a whole day and a half, where a group of students, maybe about 40 of them, were in school, while the rest were following online. So there was a camera online, following all the activities, streaming it to those who were at home, but the activities were also taking place in person in school. So New Valley has led the way for us in this area. So with that experience, we will build and we will design it so that the more we can do that, the more we can address the mental health concerns of our teenage learners. It's very important, as we all know. This is the age when they need to be with their friends, and yet we have kept them at home for more than 1 year already. So the more we're able to do that, starting with formation activities, the more we will be able to give a better experience to our students. Another development is for our varsity athletes. I'd just like to let you know that in both campuses, we have been trying to continue with the training of our athletes, even if it's all done online. And because of that, we continue to engage all our outside coaches. So this is just a heads up to all the athletes and the families that you will be invited to contribute to a fund so that this program can continue, so that the coaches can continue being available to your particular group. Finally, something to look forward to in the next school year is a development at Xavier School New Valley. We are going to offer a new track in senior high school in the New Valley campus. This has already been approved in principle by our Board of Trustees. And that is a technical vocational track in senior high school. The target market is still graduates of public schools. So as you know, we have graduates of public elementary schools who are at Xavier School New Valley for high school, junior and senior high, but they're all in the academic track. Now we will offer senior high track after all our years of experience running ERDA Tech. The beauty of this model is that because of our location in New Valley, we have partners who can provide the technical training. There is Dual Tech, there is Anihan, there is Toyota Motors Philippines. We are now in negotiations with them so that we do the academic training at Xavier, and then we send them the students for 1 semester to get their technical training. So in this way, the investment in capital and in human resources will not be so major. So this is yet another scholarship program to help achieve the goal of providing greater access to safer quality education at our New Valley campus. So that is certainly something to look forward to. So, my dear parents, welcome to Excel 2.0 with your collaboration. And I thank you really for all your support in this past year, your cooperation, your patience. Continuing in this spirit, I'm sure that this will be a very exciting and very meaningful school year for all of us. Thank you very much.
Let us now all welcome our school president, Father Aristotle D. of the Society of Jesus.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, dear parents. And I see that many of the boys are also joining you in this orientation. So good morning and hello to all of you. Time flies and we completed one whole school year online last year. And here we are. While many other schools are just starting their summer break, we're already about to start a new school year. So as I said in the beginning of that pre-recorded video, no, we're all glad that we're able to return to our June to March school year. So that was the video I shared in all the parents' orientations. But I wanted also to be here live so I can greet your particular group. Over the last few days, there has been news that the vaccine, Pfizer, Moderna, are already fit for younger minors. The local FDA even approved it for minors in the Philippines. And then in China, the Sinovac vaccine is already approved for use in 3-year-olds and up. No, so I shared this update just to say that it's only a matter of time before our children can be vaccinated and we will feel safer about going out. So this whole visualizing, this planning of hybrid learning will continue so that sooner rather than later, we can think of ways to provide opportunities for your sons to interact in person, to come to school in person. And I just want to reiterate that in the initial phase, you will have a choice about this. So Mrs. Kakacho in her part later will tell you more about the results of the surveys we fielded last year. So for my part, I just really wanted to greet all of you, welcome all of you, and to thank you for your active cooperation this past school year and look forward to even more parent-school engagement. I'm very happy that the communications platforms have really been very active. We're able to share a lot of feedback with each other towards our common goal of providing quality education, holistic education at Xavier School, even during the pandemic. So welcome, good morning, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Father D. At this point, I would like to invite Mrs. Jane Kakacho, our grade school principal, to tell us more about what is in store for everyone this school year.
Good morning and welcome to our grades 5 and 6 parent orientation. Okay, as Father Ari mentioned, I will be sharing with you the broad stroke results of the survey responses that we got from you. And I would like to thank all of you for giving us your comments, your feedback continuously throughout the school year. We're not afraid of getting feedback from you because we have used them continuously to improve Excel. And from your year-end survey responses, it seems that you were quite happy with how we did not stop making sure that Excel stays responsive and relevant throughout the school year. So let me begin. What did you say about the structure of Excel? You said that the school day could be longer and you requested that the schedule of the break be improved. Okay, because last school year, we had our students enjoy a 1.5-hour lunch break. Okay, so some of you found it too long. You said that the class and home routines are very helpful, but I guess you noticed when you sat beside your son that there were some boys who were not following them. And so you also commented that we should implement those routines more strictly. You were quite happy with Zoom, not Seesaw, but Schoology, and the other apps used by your son in the class. Some of you asked whether or not it was possible to bring back gems. Okay. Now, at this point, may I just already tell you that while we would really love to, it does not seem logistically feasible because our teachers are still at that stage when we are still not very happy with what we have in the curriculum, and we're still constantly improving it. And so to bring back gems means to take out resources from improving the curriculum for the regular. So we don't have the manpower for that yet. However, our teachers do make it a point to give enrichment activities for asynchronous activities. I'll talk more about that in a short while. What did you say about Excel being flexible? Okay, you acknowledge that it was difficult for us, no, for the school to check attendance. As you know, last school year in grades 5 and 6, the grade 4, the incoming grade 5 would not know this yet, no? But for our grades 5 and 6 classes, we relied heavily on the class beadles to help us track attendance, no? And so you recognize that it was difficult to check attendance, but you also saw the need to make our students more accountable, more responsible. Okay, so we really have to do something about that. You found the grading, the simplified grading sufficient to work well, but that it was not able to really nuance performances. Okay, and I guess that was one thing that we had to give up when we reduced the 7-point marking system into just 3, because we did see that it was quite difficult for us to notice the things that we used to notice when we were doing on-site classes. You were still okay with no awards, but you wish that there were other ways wherein we could recognize the effort given by the students. You as parents notice that our considerations given last year, like the retakes or the extended submission deadlines, could have been abused, no, by some students. We also saw that. Now, in terms of the offering, you appreciated that we were able to hold spiritual activities, but you also noticed that maybe your son attended but was quite passive. And some of you mentioned that maybe CLE could support these spiritual activities more so that there will be greater appreciation for them. We hear you. You were quite satisfied, and some were actually quite surprised, no, that we were able to hold outreach activities even online. You saw that guidance services continued, and you were also satisfied with our homeroom activities. We offered interest-based activities, and I guess a number of you felt that they were very effective, so much so that some of you suggested that why don't you require them of all students? You felt that we had sufficient protocols in place to make sure that our online classes remained safe and secure. You appreciated how our teachers paid attention to the protocols to ensure the privacy and security of the students. Like we forbade our teachers from uploading on their personal media accounts the pictures of your children. No? So we were very, very careful with those. Okay. We issued you Savior Parent emails last year, and while the parent email was used only for the accounts that needed a certain age, no, of students to register, one big change for this coming school year is that we will already use or treat your Savior Parent email as your official email. And the team leader will tell you more about it. But at this point, suffice to say that all communication with you for starting this school year will be done through the parent email. So you don't have to check two email accounts, your personal email and the Savior email. For Savior communication, all you have to do is to check that Savior parent email account. Okay, you found the specialist block helpful, and some of you said that letting children attend the specialist block teaches perseverance because the student in the extra encounter with the teacher and in taking retakes inside the specialist block found that they have to persevere, no, in their studies, and that they have to put in effort, and that passing marks do not come like magic. You also appreciated our parent orientations and workshops. So workshops on technology, and we also had one parent orientation conducted by our guidance counselors on parenting and what you could do at home to support your child. You found the Friday emails helpful, where you got all the materials already, but you wish that they could be sent earlier. Now, let me just tell you already that preparing those collection of instructional materials to put into the Friday email really takes a lot of time and effort. And as such, because our teachers are also busy doing more urgent things, meaning teaching the classes, no, for the week, sometimes preparing for the materials for the succeeding week takes a back seat, and we could all understand why the now is more urgent. Okay, so while we would like to be able to send them to you earlier, I'm afraid that that's going to be very difficult. Okay, also those Friday emails go through the eagle eyes of the assistant principal, of the team leader, assistant principal, and also I check them, no? So we want to make sure that you will get something that has no errors, and the quality control also takes time. You did appreciate that there's an open communication between the home and the school, and that our teachers are able to get back to you in a timely fashion. You did agree with us that the focus on literacy and numeracy was warranted, but there was a request to give more time to the other subjects also. We did not grade music, art, and PE last year, but some parents wrote that maybe there's wisdom in grading them so that the students will take these three subjects more seriously. But just to share with you, we still will not be grading these subjects because we don't want them to add to the pressure. But more importantly, we have redesigned the three subjects to be seen, to be perceived as more recreation and fitness activities rather than intellectual subjects where they have to understand theories about movement or about art. So for MAPE, we just want the students to see them as something that I can do to relieve my stress, or something I can do as a hobby, or something I can do to make productive use of my time if I don't like to look at the screen anymore. Okay, so we would like to retain that take on music, art, and PE for next school year at least. Okay, now you found the asynchronous activities helpful, and I would just like to reiterate that the asynchronous activities come in many forms. No, some are what do you call this? Some are required, some are optional. Okay, obviously for required activities, your son will have to do them. And I'll give one example. No, let's say in your social studies class, the teacher feels that the class discussion will benefit when students watch a particular news bite from CNN, okay? And a YouTube clip of that is uploaded. And that will be the basis of the discussion, okay? And it will enrich the discussion so much, okay? And so viewing that clip is considered required. Because if your son does not watch it, then he will not be able to appreciate the ensuing discussion, and he will not be able to contribute much or meaningfully into the discussion. And so the teacher will require a viewing of that film. However, for example, in PE, we've gotten a number of emails from parents complaining why PE is requiring videos. But let me just clarify. PE does not require the submission of videos from students, okay? But they do have a number of videos that the students can copy, okay, as exercises, as daily calisthenics, not to get a grade, okay, not actually for compliance, but for health, okay, for daily fitness, because we want your children to sweat every day, okay, and doing those exercises will be beneficial. So those are optional activities. Now, sometimes our PE teachers are so invested in these activities because they believe so much in the importance of fitness. And so they would tell your child, no, if you would like me to check whether you're doing the exercises correctly, you can take a video of yourself, submit it to me, and then I'll give you feedback. Are you doing your push-ups correctly? Are you hitting the right muscles, etc.? Now, some students are very interested to find out whether they're doing things right. And so they do have someone, or they take it themselves, they record themselves, and then submit the video to the teacher. And the teacher watches and gives feedback. If your son does not submit, that's in a way your loss, in the sense that you don't get feedback from the teacher as regards how well the activities are being done. But certainly, this will not be taken against your son. And please remember, PE is not graded. So there's no sanction. So your child is not in any way at a disadvantage, except for the fact that he did not get feedback about how he is doing the exercises. So I hope that's very helpful. So parents, please do not stress yourselves over optional asynchronous activities. They are helpful. They are beneficial, but not doing them will not necessarily put your child at a disadvantage academically or in terms of grades. Okay? Okay. You are also satisfied. In fact, some of you are quite impressed, no, with the way our teachers are able to integrate values within their lessons, regardless of the subject. In fact, you also said that your son finds the lesson more interesting if current events are woven in to the discussion of the lesson. You also said that your son enjoys school. So thank you very much. We were very happy to notice this. And that you also felt, despite the shorter school day, the lesser number of hours given to certain subjects, your son's academic growth did not suffer significantly during in the online setting. Okay, maybe because in grades 5 and 6, friendships are already firmer. So the grade 5 and 6 parents mentioned that they felt that their son was still able to sustain, maintain, and form new friendships despite the distance, okay, that we find ourselves in. You noticed that your son continued to grow in faith and love for God. You also said that, okay, the grade 6 parents now or the grade 5 parents of last year had a different answer. Okay, so this answer came from the grade 7 parents now, the former grade 6. So many of them, most were uncertain about this statement. Okay, so I guess the parents of grade 6 students felt greater stress from the grade 6. No, but the grade 5 parents, many of them agreed and strongly agreed still with the statement, your son is not stressed because of school. So, but because the grade 6 parents last year were more uncertain, then this is a big, a loud message for us in school, and hopefully also for you, that we could probably expect more stress from the older kids. And as such, knowing that, let's already anticipate how the possible ways that we can support them even more. We're all happy to note that your son knows how to ask for help. And I guess you also from the home noticed that your son became more responsible and self-reliant in the online setting. Okay. Okay. And that you also give yourself credit because and you were able to help your son become more independent. How? By not coaching unnecessarily and by allowing him to make mistakes. Okay, as Father Ari mentioned, no, we fielded a survey, and the last question there was about your willingness to allow your son to report to school when it is possible and when it is still optional. Okay, in general, both the grade 5 and 6 parents of last year were more willing to let their son attend or go to school physically. But if you compare the grade 5 and the grade 6, there are actually even more grade 6 parents who are willing. So I guess this comes from age, because when we were reviewing the responses from K to 6 up all the way to grade 4, most were uncertain. But when we isolated the numbers of grades 5 and 6, you could see that the 5 and 6 parents were already willing to let their son go to school. Okay. As promised, we don't just collect these answers to make us feel good. No, we collect the answers to be able to improve Excel. So how did this impact Excel 2.0? First, because you also agreed with us that we could afford to put in more class time, okay? We did not lengthen the school day, but we shortened the lunch break from 1.5 hours. Correct. We shortened the lunch break from 1.5 hours to just 1 hour. Okay? So the 2-hour break of last year came from a 30-minute recess and a 1.5-hour lunch. So we retained the 30-minute recess but shortened the lunch break. So that gave us an extra 30 minutes per day. Okay? Now, where did that 30 minutes go? So the school day remains to be the same. It's still 5 hours and 30 minutes long in 5 and 6, but where did that extra 30 minutes go? So we gave an extra period to CLE. We gave some more periods to Filipino and Chinese and to social studies. And we blocked off one time for study hall. Okay? So study hall obviously can also be used for extra review time for the students by default as a class. But should there be extra one-to-one sessions there, then they could use this period also to consult with their teachers. Also, sometimes only, not all the time, if we have too many class suspensions because of typhoons or whatever reason, and we need to hold makeup classes, we reserve to use this study hall for those makeup classes, just so we don't require your son to stay after school hours. Okay, so that could also be used for that one. So this is an example of our class time. So if you notice, there's no big change except for the shorter lunch break that used to have 3 blocks. Now that used to cover 3 blocks. So there are now just 2 blocks covered. We still have our regular lunch break, and we're still retaining our 3:30 p.m. Completion deadline for daily activities. May I just clarify this a little bit, okay? Um, in a regular class period, so anywhere here, okay? Anywhere here in a subject period, a teacher will be assigning a seat work, could assign an activity, okay? That activity has been designed to be finished within the period, within the synchronous block. However, sometimes, as you know, some of our sometimes internet connection could be intermittent or weak, and as such, a boy gets disconnected or is not able to do the activity because of that. Okay? Now, when that happens, it means that your child has until 3:30 to finish that activity. An activity which he should have finished within the synchronous period. So if the period, let's say this is from batch 1, and I'm sorry, from batch 1, and then there's a class from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Let's say there's a numeracy class, no, a math subject from 12 to 1. And then towards the end or midway through the period, the math teacher assigns an activity on Schoology, all right? And they have to finish it. It's meant to be finished a little before 1, 10 minutes before 1 maybe, so that they can still check it within the period. But at 12:40, a boy gets disconnected. And so he's not able to finish. And he's not able to log back into Zoom. So that's fine because he still has until 3:30. Hopefully, internet will be better, no, during that pink slot of time already. So he still has until 3:30 to finish that and submit in Schoology. Now, if he is able to finish and submit by 3:30, then the teacher has enough time to check the work, to give feedback in time for the next period. Now, let's say the boy has no internet, did not improve. And for whatever reason, that student is not able to submit by 3:30. It's all right. Okay, it's all right. There is no sanction for the late submission. It's just that the implication is if it's submitted by 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., the teacher will get it. But by then, the teacher is already busy doing something else, maybe housework. Please note, our teachers are human. No, they have to cook for their families. They have to take care of their children. So if something is submitted by 5 or 6, the submission is recorded, but the feedback or the checking may not be done in time for the next period. But certainly, there will be no sanction. Okay? Now, after this explanation, I hope that you'll be able to explain to your child that it's not okay not to finish a seat work during the period just because there's an extension of the deadline. That extension is given to students who have valid reasons. But of course, we will not check it. And we will not be able to know once who had a valid reason, who did not have. So, but if you help us push that they have to finish the seat work in a timely manner, then we will be fostering the virtue of responsibility, okay? Which is what we want to happen, okay? So I hope that explains the extended deadline, okay? So let me continue. Okay, now for last school year, note that we were very compassionate about every summative assessment that we gave. Remember, if your son gets an IE in a summative assessment, he had two chances to change his score. Okay, so teacher will give him a review of first retake. If there's still an IE in that retake, another review for a second retake. Okay, and then at the end of the trimester, when we notice, as the teacher encodes the grade in preparation of the printing or the publication of the report card, when the teacher notices that there are still some activities that have not submitted, once again, the teacher issues additional notifications to try to get these students to submit. So there's another set of compassion, consideration given in that level. And then at the end of the year, when we do our deliberation, when we see that a student gets 2 or more IEs in the report card, instead of requiring the summer classes immediately or automatically for last school year, last March, no? These students were again invited to more remediation. And if they complied and submitted additional requirements during that remediation period, they were saved from the summer class. We saw that, and you saw also, that some of those consideration were abused, okay? And it was not good formatively. Please note, we do not regret being very compassionate last year because we started Excel not knowing what the school year would look like. And we deliberately decided that we will be more compassionate rather than strict. But after 1 year of experiences of seeing all these things happen, okay, we saw what was possible, and we saw also what was feasible, and we saw what was too much, what was too generous. And as such, we're now ready to be stricter. The strictness that we were not confident to employ last year, we are now confident to implement this coming school year. So, how will the strictness come? Okay, first in the number of retakes. Okay, instead of giving 2 retakes, note that we will still be compassionate with the summative assessment, understanding that not everybody learns at the same pace. Someone who might need more time and who might need more instruction, when he gets an IE in the assessment, will still have a chance for additional review, additional encounter, and a retake. However, we feel that that extension, that one additional encounter, is already sufficient. And so, whatever a student gets in that retake will already be recorded. Okay? Now, one other change is that last year, our WD grade, or with distinction grade, okay, was given only to those who showed exemplary work. Okay? Something that was really beyond the expectations of the teacher. Okay? Now, The not so good discovery we had about that was that someone who passed, okay, maybe not in a very exemplary way, but certainly better than average, okay, still better than the expectation of the teacher, got a score similar to a student who barely passed, but passed, okay? And we felt, given your feedback and even our own teachers' comments, that this was not very fair. And so one change for this year is in the interpretation of the WD. Note, we're not changing our grades, but we are changing the meaning of WD. WD will now cover still the most exemplary of work, the most exemplary performance product that was submitted, okay? But it will include product performances, answers that are better than average, okay? More than what the teacher required, okay? And those who are able to answer sufficiently enough to show the teacher that there is mastery will get a P. Still pass, of course, but if your son shows something more, okay, than what the teacher expected, he will already get a WD. Please note, we are, in terms of a big picture, this has no impact on awards because we are still not giving academic awards this year, okay? We do not have enough information to allow us to make a good decision regarding awards. And whenever we give awards, we want to really be able to nuance, okay? And at this point in time, especially with the earlier comment that grade 6 students could be stressed, you know, more than their younger schoolmates, the less we are willing to give additional pressure. And we feel that really not having awards takes off pressure from the shoulders of our students, okay? So, as you can see, all the consideration will still be given at the summative assessment level or graded assessment level, meaning there is still a chance for retake. There will still be a deadline, an extension of the deadline for submission, okay? However, at the end of the trimester, when all the consideration, okay, has been given per graded assessment, there will be no additional consideration given in the report card already. And at the end of the school year, someone who gets 2 IEs or someone who gets an IE in 2 trimesters will automatically now be invited, be required actually, to attend summer classes, pass them before they are promoted to the succeeding grade level. And the reason for this is twofold, no? Number one, we would like to make sure that the grade they got was not out of compassion, that the grades they get will be well-deserved and is reflective of mastery, so that they are ready for the demands of the succeeding school year, okay? And secondly, we also saw that the sense of responsibility among the students decreased when we were very compassionate. The sense of urgency in terms of feeling that need to study and to give their best also lessened, because I think that the students got the feeling that anyway, my teacher will not fail me. And so, you know, I could be very relaxed, chillax. Okay. And we felt that that was not, it went to the extent that it was not healthy anymore. Of course, I'm not talking about majority, but because in Xavier, we value each boy, we'd like to make sure also that we are able to look at everybody and consider the needs of each one of them. Okay? So please note, in terms of strictness also, may I just also say that we are bringing back the green slip next year. Okay? Once again, the students are very, very smart. No? They're very observant. They know that because they will not get any green slip, there was no urgency to follow the teacher's reminders. Okay, even if they are already being sternly reminded to do something, some were still quite sluggish about complying. And we felt that, okay, this was not good anymore. And so we felt that the impact and the effect of the green slip might just correct this behavior of our students. For academic support, so we still have the following. You know, the specialist block. Okay, you're familiar with our Friday emails, so they're there. Someone who is absent, who gets disconnected, need not panic because really you have all the materials with you by Friday afternoon. And should your son need additional support, you can always contact our teachers. You will have a directory of their email addresses. And as mentioned earlier, we will give asynchronous activities for subject enrichment and for additional drills and practices that your son may want to do in case he wants additional exercises for a particular subject. We still have the same academic support in place, no? So for guidance, they're all there. You probably got one email, no, at least one email from the guidance counselor requesting for a meeting with your child. So either for a routine interview or maybe more for counseling. So, and please note, you may request for those, okay? Meaning to say, if you feel that there's something going on in your family that your son needs help with, please, by all means, contact our guidance counselor so that we can offer the needed support, okay? Sometimes, if there's a baby on the way in the family and your child is the youngest, his life will be rocked with the presence of a new baby, no? Or let's say a parent or someone in the household is a frontliner and you feel that the level of anxiety is always high, you might want to let us know about this so that we can help your child cope with his feelings or at least make sense of what he is thinking and what he is feeling. I don't know if you know this, but we have a virtual guidance office that's open during break time. And this is a place where your child can hang out, not just with his classmates, but also with his batchmates. Okay? We always try to make our CareSo modules relevant and interesting. And if the guidance counselor has a virtual guidance office, our student supervisor will have an online corridor. So again, this is just another venue for your child to interact with the student supervisor. Okay? We will be checking attendance more strictly this year. When I say more strictly, we will now take note of tardiness, not to sanction, but to record, to document, so that if we find a pattern of undesirable or concerning behaviors, we will be able to tell you about it. Okay? And as I said, since we will be giving green slips already, habitual disregard or frequent disregard of school policies, like the wearing of the uniform, the keeping the camera on and off, no? When off is allowed only. So we will be taking note of those. And if we discover that the pattern of behavior, there's a pattern of behavior and there is no valid reason for it, it can be construed as frequent disregard of school rules and may now warrant sanctions. Okay? We feel that the children are old enough to actually benefit from such strictness. Okay. Sorry for the misspelling. Mobile device management. No, so for this school year, we are requiring you to bring your child's iPad to school so that we can install the e-school pad. Later on, someone will talk about what the e-school pad does. So I won't talk about that. But may I just tell you what it does not do, okay? Because there were concerns about violations of privacy. Even with the MDM, okay, even as you, after the MDM is installed, you can install back other apps that were originally in your gadget, okay? But what we cannot do, even as the MDM is there, we cannot steal your information. We cannot manipulate whatever data you have. The only thing we can do is to see what apps are inside. So example, let's say you put PowerPoint, no? The PowerPoint app in your gadget. We will see that, oh, gadget of this boy has PowerPoint, but we cannot open that PowerPoint, okay? But during school hours, if PowerPoint is not needed, we will block it, which means it cannot be seen by your son. Okay. Later on, you'll see a very cute video explaining what this MDM will do. But I just like to assure you, please trust us. We will not do anything to compromise your privacy and your security. And should there be doubts, please raise it, bring it to our concern. Should an investigation be needed, we will conduct it and hold it very, very thoroughly. So this is familiar to all of you, no? Our something new, in case you don't know, is that we actually required the iPad this year, starting from grade 3. But the requirement of an iPad in grade 5 and grade 6 has been in place even pre-pandemic. So that should not come as a surprise to you. I started by thanking you for your feedback, which allowed us to improve Excel. Okay, this time I'd like to thank the number of you who served as the learning manager of your son. However, we do notice and we do see that as the children get older, there's really no need for a learning manager anymore. Someone who will sit all the time beside the child. However, it does not mean that you don't have to be on top of the learning of your son. Okay? So at this point, I offer you some tips for healthy and helpful parenting so that you don't become a lawnmower parent, like the picture on the screen, who takes out all the obstacles in front of the child, so much so that the child does not develop an adversity quotient. Okay? And we also don't want you to be a helicopter parent who will be in too much control of your child. I offer you 4 E's. Okay, and the first E is equip, which means that as parents, what do we expect from you? Please do provide your child with a space at home, with a device that we are requiring, with a strong internet connection, hopefully, okay, with the books and supplies, which means that for the Friday email, if you don't have time, and because your son is also old enough already, uh, maybe to also teach your child already how to read the Friday email. Remember, please note that Friday emails are also given to your child. So the two of you actually receive almost the same email. Okay? So if you have already trained your son to interpret, to read, and to be ready for the succeeding week, uh, because your son knows how to read the Friday email, then I think this is a big load off your shoulders also. So that's good. And to provide with the necessary healthy meals, okay, needed to sustain your son for the day. The second E is examine, okay? Even if you're not the learning manager of your son, it's good if you examine the Friday email, the HSCN, and check when homeworks need to be submitted, what homework need to be done, when are the assessments, when are the requirements due, okay? Because because your child is still a child and will still need a push every so often to do what he needs to be done. What needs to be done. And then in terms of behavior, please check your email regularly, because if there are concerning behaviors, your teacher, your son's teacher, will certainly email you about them. Or if it's not the teacher, maybe it's the ODS. So hopefully not, no? Okay. And then the third E is enable. We'd like your son to feel that he has the necessary skills to be able to study well. So equip him, support him, guide him by giving him the study habits that he will need to know to be able to do what he needs to do. That might also mean providing extra resources or teaching him how to look for resources. If he has a question, he has to know whom to ask, either a classmate, the teacher, okay? He cannot just freeze and not do anything. And lastly, empower, okay? By providing him with a growth mindset. And in the previous years, and Father Ari also has been talking about the growth mindset. So we know that we let them make mistakes, okay? We give them opportunities. We tell them that they're not just born with certain talents, but they can still continue to develop skills and talents, even if that might not be innate, right? And most importantly, also to let go and let them, do certain things in a certain way that may be reflective of their personality, okay, within the bounds or the parameters of self-discipline, of their schedule, etc. Okay. Know that when you do these things, when you do the 4 E's, they are not just actions. We're also developing the certain values. When we tell them that they have to be ready with their materials, and we've made everything, we've provided them with it, we're teaching them the value of being prepared. We're teaching them orderliness. When we give them the reminders about when the deadlines are, we're teaching them also to be responsible. When we tell them to study every day, we're telling them to be diligent. Okay? When we teach them, okay, what to do when they do not know what to do, we're teaching them how to be resourceful. And we're teaching them to be determined, to find an answer, and not just to say, oh, I don't know this. Okay? And when we provide a growth mindset and when we let go, we're giving them confidence. Okay? They know that I don't have to be embarrassed when I make mistakes. It's all part of it. Okay? And they won't be afraid to try again. And we're teaching them how to have integrity. Our goal, my personal goal in sharing this with you, is to ensure that the home and the school will be saying the same thing and fostering the same set of values. What we do not want to happen is for us to want to do something and then for this to be negated by the home. I'll give you one, albeit quite extreme example. No, let's say academic honesty. No, academic honesty. Let's say the teacher has given very specific instructions to our boys. Okay, not to cut and paste or copy and paste from the internet. Okay, or not just to memorize things from the internet and to return them to the teacher during an assessment or when they write a paper, because that's considered plagiarism and will really, I tell you already, warrant a sanction. Okay, an investigation and then a possible sanction. But if the tutor, okay, or the parent who helps the boy says, you just memorize that. And when the question appears in the test paper, you just write it down. Okay? So that we're sure the answer is correct. The boy will find himself in a quandary. Diba? Teacher said, I have to say what I understand, not what I memorized. But mommy said, just to be sure, memorize and write it the way it's written from the internet. So the boy is confused. And worse, the boy will ask, am I not a good student if I don't follow teacher? Or will I get a sanction if I don't follow teacher? And worse, am I not a good son if I follow teacher and not follow my parent? What a difficult question for a boy to have, no, at this age. To have to think of that very unnecessary question. So let's not put our children in that spot, okay? Let's make sure that we're pushing for the same set of values. Because as you know, we have the best intentions, okay, always for your children and their well-being in mind, okay? Having said that, I wish that we will have a very fruitful, meaningful, and productive school year ahead. Thank you very much for listening and for attending this parent orientation.
Thank you, Mrs. Cacacho. Father Aries and Mrs. Cacacho's presentations must have surfaced questions and concerns. Please do not forget to use the chat box to type in your questions. Make sure that you have chosen the GSPO as the recipient of your messages. Next, we would like to call on Mr. Dindo Bugarin, the grades 5 and 6 team leader, to discuss other important grade level concerns.
Good morning, parents. I am Mr. Dindo Bugarin, grades 5 and 6 team leader for this school year. We hope that everyone is safe and well. We are all looking forward to meeting your sons, albeit online this coming June. We hope that they are as excited as we are to go back to school. At this point, allow me to talk about other essential matters in relation to your son's online distance learning for this first trimester. His uniform. It is important for your sons to feel that formal behavior is expected of them as they go online in their classes. We believe that having the students wear something more formal than their sleepwear or home clothes will get them into the mindset that schooling is serious and that they have to pay attention. In line with this, we will require students to wear a collared shirt and a decent pair of bottoms either shorts or pants, during class hours. To save you from constantly deciding on what your son will wear for the day, we encourage you to already choose from among his clothes, those which will serve as his regular Monday to Friday uniform. On his scheduled fitness and recreation day, the proper attire consists of his yellow PE shirt or any comfortable round neck shirt, partnered with a pair of pants or shorts that are suitable for physical activity. Understanding that sourcing the colored shirt may take some time, we shall start being strict with checking for the required attire only by July 1. Regarding haircut, the barbershop and hair salons are not the safest places these days. Given this, we will not be particular with hair length, but we encourage you to remind your son to keep his hair clean, properly combed, and presentable for his online classes. About school books and materials needed, although some of the books and supplies that you ordered during enrollment were delivered already, there has been a delay in the delivery of some imported books. The school is targeting to complete all deliveries by June 11, 2021. As regards the instructional materials that your son will need, we encourage you to download them immediately upon receipt of the regular Friday email prior to the actual classes. About gadgets to be used in class. Since your son will be dependent on a gadget for his schooling this year, if he is using a device that is not dedicated solely for schoolwork, we advise you to store all non-school essentials in a folder so as not to be distracting. Unnecessary apps may also be deleted. Regarding Friday memo and weekly schedule, every Friday, you will receive in your Savior parent email a memo that will contain school announcements, the schedule, and the materials needed for the following week. We encourage you to follow the instruction on which to download and print over the weekend so as to have your son ready for class. During the synchronous class, your son should be logged in Zoom the entire period using your parent email account. In case he gets disconnected, he can always use the conference links on the weekly schedule to log back into the class. Routines on recitation, asking questions, going to CR, doing sit work, etc. will be discussed in the first few days of school. We highly encourage you to help us implement them in your homes. About communication between home and the school. The excess parent email that we will provide will be considered your official email address for all school communications. This means that circulars and other important announcements will be emailed to that account. Using that email will also help the teacher identify you and as such, respond more quickly to your concern. Note that we will not be sending any communication to your personal email addresses. A teacher's directory containing the email addresses of your son's teachers, such as his class advisor, guidance counselor, student supervisor, and other subject teachers will soon be given to you. Kindly refer to this to inform us of any of your concerns. We encourage a timely and healthy exchange of email messages within working hours from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Any email received after 4 p.m. will be read on the following day. Please allow 1 to 2 days for the response. Set a learning space at home. Find a conducive area in your house that will serve as your son's permanent learning space, which will be used primarily, if not solely, for his studies. He will need a table, chair, and an electric outlet for charging his gadget. Make sure that the learning space is well lighted, well ventilated, and comfortable enough for him to stay as he attends his online classes and accomplishes his schoolwork. School materials should also be within reach to avoid wasting time looking for them when needed. Preparing for Excel 2.0. Have a discussion with your son about how the school year will look like. Agree on house rules that you will consistently implement throughout the school year. For example, set on your rule as regards going to the bathroom during synchronous activities. Agree on the schedule when he will need to accomplish the asynchronous activities. Insist on a bedtime that you will enforce nightly. This matters when settled early, can spell the difference between a good and a difficult year. You may also want to assure him of his teacher's support and dedicated time for peer interaction. Develop a growth mindset by emphasizing that it is all right to make mistakes and that what is more important is learning from the mistakes. Given this, please be patient if the learning of routines will not happen quickly. Instead, calmly and consistently enforce the routines. For lessons that are not understood at once, encourage your son to ask questions, to try even what seems difficult, and to keep on trying until he gets the lesson. It is also important to stress the virtues of responsibility, cooperation, independence, and self-discipline. Even as schooling takes place in the home, these virtues have to be practiced faithfully in line with schoolwork. Thank you for listening, and we hope to have a good year ahead working together. Luchat Lux.
Thank you, Mr. Bugarin. The next part of our orientation will be about the use of technology in the online classroom. Please welcome Mr. Jerome Jaime, a grade 6 CLE teacher and an Apple Distinguished Educator, to walk you through the different apps that will be used by your sons in their online classes.
All right. So good morning, dear parents. At this point, let me share some of the educational apps and the features of the learning management system that we will use for Excel 2021. Now, Schoology is the official learning management system of the grades 5 and 6 levels. We will explore the following Schoology features in this presentation. Schoology interface, accessing materials, and notifications and troubleshooting. Schoology provides ease of use with its friendly interface and intuitive navigation tools. Menu labels and icons are very easy to understand, so students can easily accomplish what they need to do, such as logging in to their course, sending a message to their teacher, and submitting assignments. Now, we put together a quick overview of navigating the Schoology interface. So, using an iPad, students can access Schoology by going to Schoology, xs.schoology.com through a web browser, such as Safari or Google Chrome. Now, each student will receive a unique Save Your School student email and password that they will use to log into their Schoology account. So the students' Schoology account details and the instructions on how to use them will be sent through email before the class begins. Students may view the recent activity tab or the course dashboard on his Schoology homepage upon logging in. As you can see, the top menu bar, besides the Save Your School logo, contains 3 tabs: the courses, groups, and resources. Now, additionally, there are special icons at the right side of the menu bar that opens tools such as the calendar, where a student can check due dates, and messages, where a student can read messages from his teachers. Now, this top menu bar is always visible and accessible, no matter where you are on the site. Um, in the Groups tab, we can find collaborative spaces where students can share ideas and resources, organize events, and connect with others. Okay. Now let's take a closer look at the Courses tab. Now, in the Courses tab, you can navigate to all students' active courses. This corresponds to a specific subject. Now, in this example, the course is for grade 5, section G, Chinese subject. Now, let me bring your attention inside the course. Aside from the announcement on top, okay, and the upcoming due dates, calendar, reminders on the right column, students can also maximize the available course features at the left side of the menu list. Okay, courses are the students' digital learning environment. So by clicking the Materials tab, the students will find the learning content. For example, they can find the slide presentation, and audio files, assignments, and assessments prepared by their teachers. Now, these files are organized in folders that teachers publish in a weekly basis. With this, we hope that students can manage their time more effectively and will be able to accomplish tasks more efficiently. Now, announcements can be read through the Updates tab. Okay? Students can check the status of their graded materials and Schoology activities like homework, discussions, performance tasks, and the like through the Grades tab. Okay? Record of participation in synchronous activities can be checked in Attendance tab. And when a student needs assistance, he can easily send a message to his teachers through the Members tab. Alternatively, they may also go to Messages by clicking the envelope icon, okay, found on the upper right corner of the window. Okay. Then click on New Messages, okay, so that they can send a message. Now, the students type the name of the teacher to whom they want the message to be sent. Usually, students send a message to ask about a synchronous task or when they need something clarified. Students are encouraged to include the subject or the reason for messaging and to write the messages respectfully and concisely. Overall, students are still encouraged to ask questions during synchronous sessions so that they can receive an immediate response from their teacher or an immediate feedback. So now let's move on and I will walk you through how to access and open materials on Schoology. Okay, so to access materials, students need to click the Materials tab. And below that is the Updates tab. On the Updates tab, you may view the announcements posted by the subject teacher. Questions and clarifications may also be posted here. However, comments made in the Updates tabs are public, okay, and may be viewed by anyone in the course, so including all the members and students in that course. With that, please take private concerns that require immediate attention. It must be done through the private messaging feature. Right? Now let's focus on the Materials tab. Activities will be made available in the course as soon as the subject teacher publishes them. Set activities may be found within the unit folders or whichever place the subject teacher puts them in. Now, all the students need to do is click on them to gain access. Here are some sample materials. We have a page, a link, an embedded material, quiz, discussion, and assessments. Graded assessments may come in these different formats depending on their nature. So this is a sample of a page material. Now it may contain text, images and videos similar to what you can find in an actual web page. It may also contain the set of instructions they are going to follow when accomplishing activities. This is a link. Okay, once clicked, it may lead to another source like YouTube or another website, which may open in another tab. In this example, it led to a YouTube video. So materials can be embedded within the learning management system. In this case, students can immediately access the materials within Schoology itself. This is a discussion forum. Depending on the nature of the activity, discussion forums would often have a set of instructions or a set of questions which the students need to accomplish. Now, to post their answers, they just tap the right comment box in order to write a response. Okay, another material often used by teachers is the assignment. Unlike discussion forums, submissions can be in different formats like a Google Doc, a photo, or other types of resource. Now to submit, students just click the submit assignment button on the right side of the interface, upload it, then click the submit button in the pop-up. Okay. Now the last one is quiz. So to answer a quiz, students click on the start new attempt button. Okay. Students answer the questions in the quiz by choosing between choices, filling in the blanks, or providing short responses among many other types. And once done, click submit at the bottom. All right. Turning on the correct and most important notifications can relieve our students of unnecessary stress. Schoology will send an email automatically if they have an overdue assignment or project. Here are the notifications that we highly recommend to be turned on by students. We have heard that some students turned off all Schoology notifications last school year. Now, it may help if we give our students a gentle reminder to turn on important notifications. Students may quickly view all upcoming events, requirements, and all overdue course material on the right side pane of the Schoology course. Now, in case of an instance where you are unable to log in to Schoology, even though the account details you are entering are correct, these are some of the steps that we recommend you to take to troubleshoot this issue. Make sure you are logging into the official school site, which is xs.schoology.com. Please note that Schoology.com is the system's main general website. Your son's login details will not work here because this is not the official Save Your School Schoology site. So, secondly, you can clear or delete cookies from your browser. Your son may need your assistance with this because it will require having to go into your browser settings and accessing its cache. Try using a different web browser. If you're an iPad and are unable to log in through the Schoology app, we recommend logging in using Safari. Otherwise, if you are on a desktop or laptop, Chrome is preferable. If you are unable to resolve this issue after trying all these steps, then please click and use the forgot password option. Afterwards, wait for the email that will be sent to your Access Mail account containing the instructions on how you can reset the password. Please notify me as well about the issue, right? Now, then the next few slides will briefly refresh us about the Zoom interface. Signing in, open the Zoom app on your device. Now, dear parents, make sure that the students sign in using your or the parents' Access Mail account. Okay. Now click join and make sure that the correct details of your son's class meeting ID and password are entered. Before joining the session, make sure that your son's name follows the proper format. Class name, full name, uh, and then the Chinese name. This may also be done before joining the session. Single digit class numbers should start with a 0, right? This is very important. So, for example, 01, 02, 03, so on and so forth. Double digit class numbers will remain as is. So 10, 11, 12, 13 until up to 35 and so on. Okay. Now click on the gear icon to open settings, then click on the first box. Click on display name and then make sure to enter your son's name using the proper format, class number, full name, Chinese name. Okay, this method ensures that your son need not rename himself every time he re-enters the class. Okay. Now, here are some of the basic functions of Zoom that your son is expected to know. Muting, unmuting, only when called or when necessary. Turning on video or turning it off. Now, as for practice, video must always be on unless there is a valid reason on turning off. Okay. Switching view to speaker view so that the student can focus more on the teacher. Now, other more specific functions or features will be reviewed in detail with the students. Here are some applications that our students will use in their iPad for this school year. Qubits is a web-based application for math. Okay? However, there is a Qubits app for iPad that may be downloaded, which is called Qubits Parent. Okay? This will allow you, the parents, to track and monitor your child's task assigned by his math teacher. So this is the Qubits student interface. You can open it in Chrome. Math teachers will be assigning some homeworks and individual practices here. Your children may also answer math problems here and all on their own to serve as practice or review. Questions, problems are all aligned with their current math syllabus in Xavier School. Quizzes is another app that allows teachers to immediately check for understanding of the lesson. The app allows students to join a teacher's quiz via a unique game code. Believe me, dear parents, the students love this so much. Results and answers are immediately given, which allows the teacher to immediately give feedback or address certain concerns for a specific lesson. Now, it adds a certain element of fun, okay, by incorporating child-friendly memes in between questions. And there's also a leaderboard that is shown to motivate students to get to the next question. Now, Edpuzzle is another application used for assigning interactive videos for homework during class or for asynchronous activities. It is a visual, interactive, and it enables the students to learn at their own pace. Pear Deck is a Google Slide add-on which will make presentations interactive, fun, and collaborative with real-time results. This can be used during synchronous sessions where teachers can have slides, questions to engage the students. During asynchronous sessions, the students can browse the slides and answer questions at their own pace. The teacher will provide the link when the teacher wants a student to answer the Pear Deck presentation, okay, asynchronously. All right. This year marks the second year of Excel, and we hope that we teachers and you, our dear parents, could work together to make sure that for our students, no homework is overlooked, no assessment is neglected, and learning, despite the distance, is maximized. One last reminder, all Schoology codes will be sent to parents via email in the in the coming days before the classes start. Before we have our open forum, let us watch an informational video about eSchoolPad, Xavier School's new mobile device management software.
Are you ready and excited to journey with your son through Excel this school year? You probably had apprehension that your son might not be able to give his full attention or participation in an online class. You might even be scared that he will get easily distracted or might even be tempted to use his iPad for something else other than his school task. We have heard those concerns and found a way to better help your son to remain on task and learn better during online classes. For this school year, we will be using an MDM platform called eSchoolPad. This will allow us, his teachers, to manage your son's iPad's activities during online classes. What is an MDM? MDM stands for Mobile Device Management. It's a tool that lets an administrator or us, your teachers, to securely and wirelessly configure your son's devices. An MDM can do the following. It can update software and device settings, but most importantly, it can limit the apps to ones that are specified by his teachers. With ESP, teachers can use the scheduler feature to hide unnecessary apps during class hours, thus eliminating distractions and maximizing learning. The app lock feature helps teachers and students to be on the same app at the same time during their online class. This helps the students to be on task by disabling the switching of apps or opening of unnecessary apps or sites. With the use of ESP as a mobile device management tool, students can focus more on their classes as it minimizes mobile distractions. Apps and websites that are not needed for the class can be hidden by the teacher. Students can also receive, in real time, instructions and learning materials from the teacher through the messaging function. The ESP also ensures that the needed applications for the class are installed in the device through the remote installation function. eSchoolPad minimizes distraction and maximizes learning, giving the parents the peace of mind that their son is spending his time in online class productively and efficiently. Through eSchoolPad, parents can keep the mobile devices locked, blocked, and safe for their children's use online.